Despite adhering to a restricted diet during her hospital stay, Emma smuggled a substantial stash of snacks into her room and consumed them voraciously. "If you continue like this, it could worsen your health," I admonished her. Emma shot back. "If you had bothered to prepare nutritious meals for me, maybe I wouldn't be sick. Stop blaming me." She glared at me angrily. Daddy's darling is suddenly the saint. "Get a divorce and disappear, okay?" she added venomously. Later, when I returned to the car, I noticed Tom had called. I recounted my exchange with Emma, only to face his angry outburst. "Emma is unwell. You need to be more supportive," Tom yelled over the phone. Frustrated, I hung up without a word. Feeling overwhelmed, I checked into a hotel to create some space between us. But after receiving a particular photo from Anna, I reconsidered. "Emma, I'll grant your wish for a divorce," I resolved quietly to myself. "But first, I'm going to expose your beloved daddy's true nature. Stay tuned." I'm Megan, a 45-year-old housewife. I married my colleague Tom 5 years ago. I was so focused on my career that I found myself in my late 30s, thinking marriage was no longer an option. But 7 years ago, Tom joined my department and pursued me persistently. After dating for 2 years, we got married. Tom had divorced his ex-wife because she was unfaithful and had a daughter named Emma, who was in elementary school then. My parents and friends were concerned, but when I met Emma during our engagement, she was so sweet and innocent that I was excited about having a child. After we got married, even though we weren't biologically related, I was determined to raise her with love. However, that determination was soon tested. When we got married, Emma was in 6th grade and loved games, music, and eating. She would lounge on the living room sofa, lost in games and music, always munching on something. I would say, "If you eat too many snacks, you won't be able to eat dinner," like any parent, but it never worked with her. Despite having 3 meals a day, she constantly snacked. Even for a growing child, eating 2 pancakes and 2 bags of potato chips before dinner, and then having a large serving of fried chicken and 2 bowls of rice for dinner, was too much. Since she wasn't involved in any sports, she naturally had a chubby body. "Emma, I'm worried you're eating too much. It's not good for your health. You skip vegetables and only eat fatty or meaty foods," I finally said, unable to stay silent any longer. She frowned in irritation. "Stop it. You're not my real mom, so just leave me alone. Megan, your cooking is just fine, but you need to work on your nagging. Otherwise, Dad might leave you," she added in a sarcastic tone that really got under my skin. I spoke to Tom about it, but he just chuckled. "She's just being a teenager. Give her a break." "But Emma eats excessively. She eats a lot, doesn't she?" I insisted. "I think it's affecting her health. She gets upset when there's no food in the house, so I buy snacks, but she finishes them quickly. She doesn't like healthier options like dried fruits or vegetables. I had a huge appetite when I was a kid, too. It settled down when I was around 30, so don't worry about it," Tom chuckled, glancing at his slim figure. But he had played basketball until college, so his level of exercise was entirely different. I knew it was wrong to compare, but Tom, who doted on Emma, wouldn't listen. Eventually, Emma entered middle school and started hanging out with the wrong crowd. She began engaging in problematic behaviors like going to band concerts and staying out late, even before tests. She and her friends got piercings, and her fashion became more outrageous. "You're still in middle school. Piercing your nose and lips at home is crazy," I scolded Emma harshly. "If you're under 18, you need parental consent even at a hospital. There's a risk of infection." "Megan, you're such a worrywart," Tom said in a relaxed tone, standing next to a sulking Emma. "It's no big deal." Yeah, you might be too scared to pierce yourself, but my friends and I are fine with it," she said, puffing out her chest. I felt like pulling my hair out. that's not the point. Of course, you don't get modern fashion because you're an old lady, but Daddy understands, right? Emma looked to Tom for agreement, and he gave her a forced smile. Of course, Emma. You always look great, no matter what, Tom said with a loving expression that made me want to throw up my hands in frustration. Even in high school, Emma neglected her studies, spending most of her time on games and music. As expected, she panicked just before the entrance exams. She barely managed to get into the lowest-ranked school in the state, but soon after starting, she began feeling ill frequently. She complained of fatigue, exhaustion, stomach aches, nausea, and low-grade fevers. A visit to the local clinic led to a diagnosis of stress related to school. Initially, I agreed, but as the symptoms persisted, I pushed Emma to see a general hospital. What? I hate needles and tests because I'm so sensitive, she whined. Tom sided with her. Forcing her to go is harsh. Let's wait a little longer. But what if it's something serious? Tom, we are at work during the day. What if she collapses? I asked, concerned. Emma responded casually. Then you should quit your job. Yeah, if you take care of Emma, I can work without any worry. You can even take her to the hospital if needed, Tom added. I was momentarily speechless. But Emma is your daughter, Tom. Don't be so indifferent. She's your daughter too, blood or not, Tom stated. Emma interjected. And besides, Dad probably makes more money than you, so no one will notice if you're not at work. Feeling disheartened because I found my work fulfilling, but unable to refuse my daughter, I reluctantly resigned. Emma wasted no time in treating me like a servant as soon as she got home from school. Oh no, I forgot to buy pudding. Go buy me some from the cake shop by the station, she commanded. Massage my legs, they're so tired. Oh, and my shoulders and back too. What's this? Stew? I want sweet and sour pork. Throw this out and make that instead, she demanded, her mood worsening when she felt unwell. She claimed she couldn't sleep and would call me in the middle of the night to discuss trivial matters. That girl in class is such a teacher's pet. It's irritating. Hey, are you even listening? Don't fall asleep in front of me, she scolded. She even asked for impossible things, like curing her headaches. Tom, can't you do something about Emma? Exhausted from lack of sleep and emotional strain, I pleaded with him. I understand she wants someone to talk to her when she's sick, but this is getting too much. I can't handle it anymore, I admitted. Tom furrowed his brow and sighed. But you're Emma's mother now, so you need to manage it. Plus, kids' tantrums are cute, aren't they? He replied. Why don't you take over on weekends? I suggested, so I could at least have some peace even just on the weekends. Tom shrugged helplessly. I work to support us too, can't you see that? You should try to meet our daughter's requests with a smile. Can't you come home a bit earlier? I pleaded urgently. You've been working a lot of overtime lately, with many weekends and overnight trips. Can't you spend more time with Emma? I asked desperately. No way, I'm swamped. Emma is your responsibility, Tom replied, deflecting responsibility for our daughter onto me and showing little interest in getting involved himself. My trust in him waned as Emma's condition persisted for over a year. A co-worker suggested it might be a liver issue. We really should get her checked out properly at the hospital, I insisted repeatedly, but Tom always refused. However, a single comment from a coworker made him change his mind instantly. I was frustrated, but I went along with them. After a thorough examination, Mia was diagnosed with cirrhosis. She has jaundice and ascites. It's grade B right now. It's not immediately life-threatening, but it's quite severe, the doctor explained. Why did we wait so long? I asked, feeling a mix of frustration and concern. We're sorry. Both Tom and Emma, usually carefree, hung their heads in shame. It seems the cirrhosis resulted from hepatitis C. Do you have any idea how this might have happened? For instance, Did you pierce your ears yourself and share the equipment without proper sterilization? The doctor asked Emma. Oh, she gasped. I think so, she muttered, realizing the consequences of her actions. Her face was down as she bit her lip. Will she need surgery? Tom asked anxiously. The doctor replied calmly. First, she needs to be hospitalized for nutritional and exercise guidance. However, if this continues, it could progress to liver cancer. A liver transplant would be the best option once her condition stabilizes. Understood, I replied, feeling the weight of the situation. After seeing Emma off to her hospital room with a nurse, Tom and I went home to prepare for her stay. During the drive, Tom suggested, "Let's register for a living donor liver transplant. Waiting for a donor might worsen Emma's condition." "Yes, you're right," I agreed. "Then I'm counting on you too, Megan," Tom said, glancing at me. "You'll register as well, won't you?" I asked him. "No way. I can't handle pain," Tom replied, surprising me. "They say donors can have complications like bowel obstruction or ulcers. It'd be a problem if that happened to me since I'm the breadwinner." "That's a valid concern, but is it okay for me to be the donor?" I wondered aloud. "Don't worry, it's usually not life-threatening. The liver regenerates even after part of it is removed, so it's manageable." Tom reassured me with a cheerful smile that left me feeling unsettled. Despite my fears, I couldn't sit back and watch Emma's condition worsen. After undergoing compatibility tests and discovering I was a match, I registered as a donor. Now, whenever her condition improved, I was prepared to donate part of my liver. Honestly, I was terrified. But as Emma's mother, despite not being biologically related, I wanted to support her in every way possible. One day, after some time had passed, I received a call from the hospital. Emma's condition had stabilized, and they wanted to schedule the liver transplant surgery. Coordinating with the operating room and the doctors, I realized that since she had animosity towards me, she might refuse the transplant if she knew I was the donor. So, I asked the doctor to keep it a secret. Soon, the surgery date was set, and I went to the hospital for tests. On my way back, I stopped by Emma's room and was shocked. Despite being on a restricted diet, she had bought a lot of snacks from the hospital store and was devouring them. I lost my temper and scolded her sternly. "Do you understand your condition? If you keep this up, it could be life-threatening. You need to take your health seriously, Emma," I urged, feeling frustrated. Pointing her dirty finger, Emma blamed me. "It's your fault anyway. If you had prepared healthy meals and snacks over the past 5 years, I wouldn't be sick. Take responsibility." I felt like collapsing under her unjust accusation. "What are you saying? You were the one who always insisted on high-calorie meals and snacks. Don't blame me," I countered firmly. Emma sneered, her voice filled with bitterness. "You're always bossing me around. It's so annoying." Her hurtful words pierced my heart like sharp arrows. "I don't need this from you anymore. I don't even want to see you," she continued bitterly. "Just a parasite acting all high and mighty. Get a divorce and disappear." Her hateful words left me feeling numb and detached, the anger quickly fading into resignation. "Got it," I said quietly and left Emma's room. When I got back to the car, I noticed Tom had called, so I recounted my exchange with Emma. Instead of understanding, I was met with furious yelling. "Are you stupid? Emma is sick. You should be more supportive." Tom's words hit me like a wave of misery. What if her condition worsens because of stress? Why do I have to put up with this? I muttered to myself, feeling utterly miserable. I hung up without responding and drove away from the parking lot. Back home, I packed my suitcase with essentials and left the house. I needed a break from them, so I decided to stay at a hotel. The next day, I met my friend Anna at a cafe and poured out my feelings about Tom and Emma. Anna frowned, hesitated for a moment, then pulled out her phone. After a while, she showed me a picture that made me gasp involuntarily. "You should look into this carefully. There might be something going on," Anna suggested cautiously. "I will. Thanks," I replied in a strained voice, asking Anna to send the picture to my phone. As I looked at it, a surge of intense anger welled up inside me, making my whole body heat up. "Emma, I'll grant your wish for a divorce. But before that, I'm going to reveal your daddy's true colors. Just wait," I vowed silently. Right after parting ways with Anna, I went to a real estate agency and immediately signed a contract for a weekly rental apartment. I arranged for a moving company to transfer all my belongings there. I also secured a full-time job and started working right away. I had been ignoring calls and messages from Tom, but when I checked my phone 3 days later after returning home, I saw I had 50 missed calls. Reluctantly, I called him back, and he immediately started yelling, "Where are you? Why aren't you coming home? And why did you send divorce papers out of nowhere?" Tom fired rapid questions at me. "That's none of your concern," I responded coldly to his barrage of inquiries, which only seemed to anger him more. "Don't play games. You're Emma's mother, right?" His furious shouting made me instinctively pull the phone away from my ear. "And now you refuse to donate your liver for your daughter's transplant? Get to the hospital and re-register now." "No, I won't donate to her anymore," I said firmly, unmoved by his demands. I heard Tom sigh heavily over the phone. "Being stubborn over a minor disagreement is childish. It's embarrassing at your age," he retorted. "Say what you want, but what about you, huh? Do you even care about Emma?" I shot back. "Emma and I are strangers. I've never thought of her as my own since we got married." I seized the opportunity to speak my mind. "Did you file for divorce?" Tom asked abruptly. "I can't do that. If we divorce, you won't be family anymore and we can't proceed with the donor process." Tom sounded irritated, and I couldn't help but sigh. "Why are you fixated on me? As her biological father, you should be the donor." Tom dismissed my reasonable suggestion with annoyance. "I told you, I can't handle pain, and there are risks of complications." "Yes, it seems that way," I replied tersely. "Then count me out. Besides, Emma's condition isn't immediately life-threatening. If you're unwilling, we'll wait until another donor appears." I realized he cared more about himself than his daughter. Utterly disillusioned by Tom's selfishness, I made a decision. "I'll visit Emma in her room next week. We need to talk." After ending the call, a week later as promised, I went to Emma's hospital room. As soon as she saw me, she started yelling, "You stupid old hag. Don't go off on your own. Go talk to the doctor and re-register as a donor." I felt disgusted even looking at her. Is this really how you ask someone for a favor? I thought, feeling the sting of her words. Both father and daughter lacked basic manners. "You were the one who told me you didn't need me and to get lost, didn't you?" I retorted, frustrated by Emma's attitude. "That was just a figure of speech," Emma stammered, trying to make excuses. "I don't want you two to separate because of me, right, Dad? You don't want to divorce Megan, do you?" She usually called me old hag or old lady, but now she was using my name. Emma looked up at Tom with pleading eyes, and he nodded vigorously. "Of course not. I want us to continue living happily as a family," Tom said with a forced smile. I handed him the photos and the investigation report I had taken out of my bag. "Oh, you sure? But it seems Emma has another happy family," I said pointedly. Emma's face paled as she glanced at the photo. Tom's voice was filled with anger as he confronted her. "Emma, you've been seeing them behind my back?" Emma stammered in response. Tom slammed the photos down on the table in the hospital room. They showed a woman with a plump figure similar to Emma's, a tall man in a suit, and Emma. The scene appeared to be covertly taken from a nearby table at a restaurant. Another photo showed the three of them walking down a main street, holding high-end shopping bags with joyful expressions. Emma snapped at me accusingly. How did you know I was meeting my mom and her new husband? Hiring a detective is so low, I calmly explained. When I was cleaning your room, I noticed you had a lot of high-end brand bags. I wondered how you could afford them without having a job. Mind your own business, old lady, Emma shot back angrily. I can't do that. I am your mother after all, I replied firmly, smiling despite her glare. When you came home from dinner, you sometimes smelled like perfume. I knew you were lying about having dinner with friends. Tom tilted his head in confusion. I never noticed. You're usually home after she showered, and on weekends, you come back after midnight, I continued. It seemed suspicious, so I hired a detective. I'm relieved you weren't hanging out with bad friends, Tom interjected, trying to ease the tension. You don't know anything, Dad, Emma retorted, clearly upset. I'm sorry, I couldn't say no when Mom insisted, Emma quickly added, attempting to appease Tom with a sweet, flattering voice. Tom forced a smile and said, Yeah, I understand. His smile vanished when I played the audio recording. Mom, Dad is such a cheapskate. He works at a big company, but my allowance is only $100 a month. Can you believe that? It's gone as soon as I buy one outfit. I hate living poor. Emma's voice echoed through the room, revealing her true feelings. Emma, honey, for now, just endure it and marry a wealthy businessman just like your stepdad. A woman with a voice similar to Emma's spoke, followed by a man's agreeing voice. Or come live with us, Emma. I'll buy you anything you want. But if I move, I won't be able to see my friends, Emma hesitated. Besides, leaving Dad alone would be sad, right? He doesn't even have any friends. You're so kind for not wanting to leave your dad, the woman cooed, and they all laughed loudly. Tom's face turned red, and Emma shrank on the bed, clearly distressed. Emma, what the hell is this? Tom finally spoke after a moment of silence. You know the reason for the divorce was because your mom cheated with that guy, right? And yet you were meeting them in secret. Though his tone was steady, Tom's eyes showed anger, making Emma visibly uneasy. But Mom's new husband is a good man. He buys me everything I want and takes me to fancy restaurants. Honestly, I think Mom made the right choice marrying him, Emma blurted out anxiously. Tom's face hardened. That's not your concern. Besides, you've developed health issues from eating rich foods behind my back. From now on, you're not allowed to visit them. You don't understand the law, do you? Even if you're divorced, children have the right to see their parents, Emma retorted defiantly. I thought you marrying this woman would mean a higher income and a luxurious life. But all I get is a small allowance, no dinners out, and nagging. There's no point in being at home, Emma muttered bitterly. So that's what you were thinking when you were flattering me during our engagement. One mystery solved, I said with a sense of clarity, letting out a faint smile. Next to me, Tom wore a smug expression as he turned to Emma. Listen, I work hard, sweating and stressing to support you. Do you think I enjoy working overtime and going on business trips? Tom reasoned with Emma, his voice tinged with frustration. But Dad, I'm saving money for your future. Isn't that more important than luxury right now? Emma countered. I glanced at Tom's profile intently. When he asked what was on my mind, looking puzzled, I smiled. The other day, I had a chat with your boss. You know, I used to work in the same department as you, so we're acquainted. Yeah, so what? Tom replied, starting to look nervous, while Emma listened intently now. I inquired if there was any possibility to reduce your overtime, weekend shifts, and business trips because you're hardly ever home, I continued. Your boss mentioned our department is pretty quiet lately. There's hardly any overtime or weekend work, and certainly no business trips. Isn't that concerning? With that, I tapped my phone screen to display some images and placed several photos and an investigation report from my bag next to Emma. So, it turns out you're a regular at a girls' bar in the entertainment district, going there 4 times a week after work. No wonder you're so busy and come home late. Emma's eyes widened as she snatched the report from my hand. As she read through it, her expression turned furious, her hands shaking. On weekends, you spend the night at the apartment you bought for a 20-year-old waitress. Sometimes you even take her to work. Every few months, you go on trips together. I'm shocked. It's like you're living together. Don't you realize your wife and daughter are waiting for you at home? It's none of your business how I spend my money, Tom grumbled sullenly. I'm just supporting a hard-working girl, like volunteering. I couldn't help but laugh at Tom's audacious response. She lives in the same apartment complex as Anna. People have been gossiping about seeing you two shopping together at the local supermarket or cozying up in the lobby. They think we make a handsome couple, Tom added defensively. Don't be ridiculous, I retorted, laughing dismissively. They think it's pathetic for an old man to be fawning over a girl young enough to be his daughter. You're a laughingstock, I said, feeling a mix of astonishment and anger at Tom's behavior. His eyes narrowed sharply in response. Don't call it an affair. I truly love her, Tom retorted defiantly, his expression firm. Emma contorted her face in disgust. Are you serious, Dad? Falling for a girl my age? What is wrong with you? Shut up. I can love whoever I want, Tom snapped back passionately. She said she wants to marry me after she graduates. Be happy, Emma. You'll have a young and beautiful stepmom. Emma sighed deeply, looking distressed. Dad, don't you realize? She's just using you for your money. I don't want a stepmom 3 years older than me. That's pathetic. It doesn't matter. Even if you don't approve, we'll get married anyway, Tom insisted stubbornly. Don't be ridiculous. If you're going to spend money on another woman, increase my allowance first, Emma demanded angrily. Tom calmly replied to Emma's outburst. No, Emma, you're more important. But with a healthy liver, you'll be fine on your own. Emma shot a sharp look at me. That's right. I don't care if you divorce, but give me your liver first. She got off the bed and approached me, gripping my arm with surprising strength despite her condition. The liver regenerates even after part of it is cut off, right? So stop being selfish and give it to me. You're my mother legally, so do your duty. At least be useful in a time like this, you useless jerk. In a time like this? For the past 5 years, I've done my best for you and your dad. And now you're resorting to threats like this? I said in exasperation. Tom sneered. Are you scared of the surgery? Megan, you're a coward and a hypocrite. How pathetic, like I've said before. Why don't you take care of it yourself? I snapped back, and Emma defended Tom, saying, Dad couldn't donate because he wasn't a match. Tom clasped his hands apologetically, feeling exasperated. I pressed the play button on the recording app. I've already told you, I can't handle the pain, and there are risks. His voice was loud and clear through the speaker in the silenced room. What? Emma replied, puzzled by the sound that played. That's your dad's honest feelings. He didn't even do the compatibility test, I said awkwardly, glancing at Tom. Tom, sweating hard, struggled to come up with an excuse. In the end, he cares more about himself than his own daughter, I added, seeing Emma's eyes fill with tears. Tom remarked insensitively. You keep eating like your mom and getting bigger. Besides, your illness is your own doing, Emma, and I don't like fat girls. Tom showed no fatherly concern, his lips pursed and scratching his cheek. How about asking your mom? She's related by blood, so she might be able to help, Tom suggested, clapping his hands as if he had a brilliant idea. Emma frowned. Dad, Mom has diabetes and high blood pressure. It's impossible, Mia replied sadly. noticing how he had forgotten about his ex-wife. Tom and Emma exchanged looks for a moment, then sat on the floor and got down on their knees in front of me. "Please, Megan, donate your liver to Emma," Tom said while faking crying. Emma pleaded tearfully, "You're the only one who can do it." "I've told you repeatedly, I won't do it," I yelled in frustration, feeling mistreated and insulted. "I won't be treated like a servant and then be expected to give you my liver. You're still holding a grudge. You're such a jerk." Fed up, I crouched down, grabbed a bag of snacks from under the bed and headed to the hallway. Pushing away Emma's hands as she tried to take it, I called out to the nurse's station. "Emma is eating chips again," I exclaimed. Before I finished, a nurse rushed over and angrily confronted Emma. "Miss Miller, how many times do I have to tell you to stop? At this rate, even if we find a donor, the transplant won't be possible. And you, sir, please pay more attention and act like a father for once." Watching Emma and Tom with their heads down, I left the room with a smile. Despite being forbidden by the doctor, she had been secretly snacking and drinking juices instead of sticking to the hospital food. Her test results were so poor that her treatment was prolonged, and she had to take a leave of absence from school. The nurse repeatedly urged Tom to undergo compatibility testing, but he adamantly refused, which enraged Emma. "You can spend money and love on your affair partner, but not on me? Forget it. I won't rely on you anymore." She huffed. "Just wait patiently until a donor shows up." Is that what a parent should say? Unbelievable. They argued loudly in the hospital room every day, completely ruining their relationship. Later, Tom signed and returned the divorce papers I sent him. I submitted them to the courthouse immediately, and the divorce was finalized. The $20,000 in alimony for his affair with the waitress from the girls' bar was deposited into my account in one lump sum, and I felt relieved. However, problems began after that. Even after the divorce, Tom persistently clung to me. Since he knew where I worked, he would wait for me at the nearest station after work and try to get back together. "Hey, Megan, let's start over. Emma's medical bills are piling up, and after paying you alimony, my savings are gone. I need you." "You spent your savings on your side chick, didn't you?" I replied coldly. "She dumped me when she found out I was married. Emma won't talk to me either. I'm so lonely. Please come back. You brought this upon yourself. If you continue stalking me, I'll involve the police," I shouted at him. Finally, Tom ceased appearing. Subsequently, his affair with the 20-year-old became public at his workplace, leading to a sharp decline in his reputation. Now, he navigates each workday on edge. When Emma informed her mother about her hospitalization, she boasted about all the wrongs she had done to me and bitterly complained about my cancellation of the donor registration. In response, her mother sent a curt reply, thoroughly exasperated. "I never expected you to be so unappreciative. I'm disappointed in you." I once considered reconciliation, but let's forget it. "Take care of your dad." Emma read and burst into tears, causing disruptions with the nurses. She's now known as the ward's biggest troublemaker. Since I canceled my donor registration, no new donor has come forward. Emma's past habits of binge eating and drinking worsened her condition. Although she eventually started following a diet, it was too late. Doctors now warn her that she could develop liver cancer at any moment. She spends her days in the hospital crying and living in fear. Over the past 5 years, I've come to a profound realization. No matter how hard you try, some people will never appreciate your efforts. Despite the hardships, I also had positive experiences. A colleague who supported me during tough times became someone special, and after dating, we got remarried. At our intimate celebration, Anna and my parents met my new husband, appreciated his kind and sincere nature, visibly feeling relieved. I am determined to build a happy family with this wonderful man this time around.